Welcome. I'm Kinetic Symphony. I hunt down and report on weird and true mysterious stories, from glitches to the paranormal. Would you like even more content? Here's my Patreon. Now onto the stories. Case file number 995, written by Kessykris. The universe recovered my promise ring. I am 35 years old and married to the man I started dating in my junior year of high school. When I was 17, he wrote me a poem and presented me with a promise ring. We ended up getting married when I was 18 a year later. I switched out my promise ring to my wedding ring and lost the promise ring during one of the many times we had moved. A few months ago, my promise ring was on my dresser. We have since owned a home, sold it, packed everything up and moved from Minnesota to Alabama. I never had the ring in the house we sold. We have pretty much all new furniture from our move to Minnesota to Alabama. The dresser is a year old. I asked my husband if he found it. He has no idea where it came from. The many times we've moved, I am the one that does 95% of the packing. Like, I've touched all of our things in detail. It was just out in the open on top of my dresser. It also can't just be a ring that looks like it. First, it's gold, and I don't buy gold rings. Secondly, it was always a little tight on me because he got one that was one size too small. The ring is one size too small. It's the exact ring. My mind is still blown by this. Case notes are file 995. The universe recovered my promise ring. Yeah, you don't hear many love stories like this. The high school sweetheart kind of story. I think it's beautiful, and I'm very happy for both of you. As far as the glitch goes, it's pretty common when lost items are returned, especially of great sentimental value. In this case, I'm reminded of that one where the father had lost his wedding ring in the ocean. They were on a cruise, and it came back to them years later in their bathroom, just sitting there. No apparent reason why, no idea who brought it back, just the universe saying, "Hello, sorry you lost this, here's it back." Or some spirit. I wonder if it's a spirit directly involved or the universe itself. Case file number 996, written by Sweaty Morning 5744. Traveling Shoes, a mysterious case. A very strange incident happened to me while we were shifting our apartment. Due to some financial issues, my family of four, mom, dad, me, and my elder sister, had to sell our own apartment and shift to a rented apartment not very far from where we used to live. This incident is not very old. I was 19 and was about to turn 20 next month. I had this perfect pair of black high-top suede shoes. In fact, I still have them. I haven't thrown them out, but I don't wear them as they're in rough shape. I wore those shoes throughout my junior college year, and they were my go-to pair for outdoors, so I always had them up on the shoe rack. We were packing our individual stuff in polythene bags and cardboard boxes, and I remember picking all of my shoes, and the first one to go into the box was these black ones. After finishing all the packing, we had all of our stuff, including all of the furniture, in the new rented apartment. The first thing I started to unpack were my shoes, and to my surprise, the shoes were not there. I asked my mom and my sister if they saw them. They both denied seeing them. I thought I must have left it back at our old apartment, so I went back to check and could not find them there, as there was nothing left there. I was pretty sad, as I loved that pair. I went to the store to buy a new pair, but could not find a similar pair. After some time, I just accepted the fact that I lost them, somewhere in the boxes or the packing, or the moving crew must have stolen them. These are the only possibilities I could think of. My family and I visit my grandparents every year during the holidays, and I sometimes go there in the summer as well, so we did visit them that year too. The holiday season was great, and we had so much fun. When we started to pack our bags to go back, my grandma came to me with the same pair of shoes I lost. I was shocked to see the same pair with her. It even had the stains that my previous one had. I asked her how and where she found them. To that she replied, "You left them here when you came here in summer." I'm damn sure that I didn't leave them there in the summer, as I wore them so many times after the summer. And what about me remembering to pack them in the boxes? I still can't explain how this must have happened. I told my mom and sister, and they were also shocked to see them here. My mind can't digest the fact that when I put these shoes in the box, they somehow ended up at my grandma's place. Case notes are file 996. Traveling shoes. A mysterious case. Funny how this is a relatively simple explanation as far as glitches go. It's just classic DOP. You put the shoes in the box, they dematerialized from the box, that already happened, and they reappeared at your grandma's place. I always wonder why, when objects reappear, is it in such specific locations? If not directly tied to you, to a close family member, in this case your grandma. But yeah, it really isn't always clear why these objects just disappear, some objects in specific. For me, just tennis balls. Why tennis balls? And why do they sometimes reappear? It really isn't clear. These places have relevance to the owner that had them before. It still belongs to you. Seemingly they could reappear anywhere, but it's always in these specific places. Why? It's either spirits or very advanced programming. Bonus file written by izzzzzza. Say hello to the Grim Reaper. My mother had an experience I'd like to share from a few weeks ago. For a little background, over the past 6 weeks, my father has been undergoing various medical tests such as blood work, CT scans, MRIs, and multiple biopsies to determine why he is experiencing so much stomach and back pain. Early blood work indicated pancreatic cancer, and the doctor just confirmed this week that he had stage 4 pancreatic cancer. My whole family has been a mess during this process. It's a lot to digest and seems to be a pretty aggressive cancer. So, about 3 weeks ago, my mom woke up in the middle of the night, around 3 a.m., to a sound coming from downstairs in the kitchen. She said it was a loud, repetitive banging sound from the floor. The kitchen floor is made of slate tile, so it has a distinctive sound when being hit. She said the sound reminded her of metal hitting the floor. It would bang about 6 times in a row, then stop for 10-ish seconds, then another 6-ish bangs, followed by 10 seconds of silence, and so on. My mom said this went on for a couple minutes while she was trying to wake up my dad. She was super freaked out the entire time. Her first thought was that it was an intruder, but after a few cycles of it being constant in location and the noise and silence cycle, she felt it was supernatural. He's a heavy sleeper, so it took her a few minutes of shaking him to wake him up. Finally, he woke up and the banging noise stopped. She told them to listen for the noise and it just never happened again. After not hearing a peep, they decided to check the house to make sure it wasn't an intruder. They checked every room in the house and found no evidence of break-in or what could have made that noise. Has anyone had a similar experience or have any thoughts on what that noise was? In hindsight, my mom really feels like it was a Grim Reaper, signaling that he's coming for my dad. Case notes for the bonus file. Say hello to the Grim Reaper. So, given the noises ceased as soon as your father was woken from his slumber, my guess is it was related to his subconscious, perhaps manifesting the inner stress and chaos that he was feeling given the diagnoses. And by the way, I'm very sorry to hear about this. Even though medical technology is very advanced now, I think your father will be okay. It's still incredibly stressful to deal with, no matter what. For him, for the whole family. It's not something I would wish on my worst enemy. One thing I do want to mention, in case it offers any comfort. I fully believe in quantum immortality, which, if you don't know, is where the soul will move between universes in the great multiverse. If the body was inhabiting died, it will just jump to a different one in a different universe. And so even if the worst happens to your dad in this universe, he will continue living on in other universes where the cancer didn't get him. Now, again, I think medical technology is very advanced, so there's a great chance that your father will persist in this universe for a long time. But in the off chance that he doesn't, there is still hope. You may not be able to interact with him directly anymore, but he will still be out there. And in fact, for him, he won't even realize that he's in a different universe. Most people don't. Unless they spot those anomalies, sometimes universes are a bit different. And unless you have all this knowledge that we have here in this glitch community, you won't really know. Even if you spot the anomalies, you just think, oh, I must be going crazy. Or you'll just discount them entirely because they're often very small. Maybe you keep pens by your desk and they're usually blue, but now they're red. Or something so mundane and trivial like that you wouldn't even think about it. One way or another, it'll be okay. Thanks for sharing this story though. It must have been hard to type that. And now for the story of the day. Once upon a time, there was a farmer who lived in a small village. He was a hard-working man and spent most of his time tending to his crops and animals. One day, the farmer came across a small, injured bird on the side of the road. Feeling sorry for the bird, He took it home and nursed it back to health. After a few weeks, the bird had fully recovered and was able to fly again. The farmer, however, didn't want to let the bird go. He had grown fond of it and enjoyed having it around. The bird, on the other hand, was unhappy being cooped up in a cage all day. One day, the farmer had a change of heart. He realized that it was selfish of him to keep the bird captive just because he enjoyed its company. He decided to set the bird free, even though he knew that he would miss it terribly. The moral of the story is that sometimes we have to make difficult decisions for the good of others. It may be hard to let go of something that we love, but if it's the right thing to do, we should do it. In the end, doing what's right will bring us more happiness than holding on to something that doesn't belong to us. It's that whole adage of, if you truly love someone, let them be free. Yeah, maybe they'll come back to the bird may have come back to the farmer at some point just to say hello. We don't own other people and often don't really consider them enough. It's all down to empathy, highly valued and in short supply these days. Like the video, subscribe, hit the bell, good stuff. Kinetic Symphony signing off.